to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Srikanth, joining you from India's startup capital, Bangalore, and we have a power-packed show lined up for you over the next 20 minutes.
That's right. I'm Krishnakumar, coming to you live from ET Now's Mumbai studios. First up, a look at the headlines here on ET Now Startup Central. The world's largest e-commerce player, Amazon's founder and CEO Jeff Bezos wrote to shareholders outlining how their bets are paying off and the culture that makes it the best place in the world to fail. Bezos also went on to mention India, describing the innovation on seller strategy where chai carts and Amazon Tatkal vans are engaging with thousands of sellers. The Baba Ramdev promoted Indian FMCG chain is looking at a partnership with the online marketplace giant to sell its product. We get you an exclusive information from Managing Director Acharya Balakrishna. And in our special segment, Next Big Star, we feature a startup that most of us have used at some point of time. We also kick off a new segment on the show today called the Aha Moment, a segment where entrepreneurs outline that one moment that changed their fortunes forever. We debut this with Mindtree's co-founder Krishnakumar Natarajan. All right, then let's kickstart the proceedings. Over to you, Chandra, in Bengaluru.
That's right, Krishna. Straight to the top story then, where Amazon's founder Jeff Bezos has written an annual letter to shareholders where he talks about all the key milestones achieved both by Amazon and its various group companies such as Amazon Web Services, which remember is their cloud offering. And he opens with the milestones that these companies have clocked, both his enterprise-focused companies and his consumer-oriented companies crossing the $100 billion mark in terms of sales. So that's the key milestone that he's highlighted here. He's also spoken about and also defended the work culture at Amazon. Remember, this comes some months after a newspaper report which questioned work conditions there based on versions that they got from former employees. So that's something he's defended. But something that everyone in India was keenly watching out for was, of course, what he says about the India opportunity. Now, he was really mum on the recent norms as far as FDI in e-commerce is concerned, but he did talk about all the customization and the innovation, so to speak, that Amazon has done in India. So, to get more sellers on their platform. He spoke about the Amazon Chai Cart initiative, where the Amazon Chai Cart went about trying to peddle the Amazon platform to sellers in some of India's smallest cities. He also spoke about the Seller Flex initiative that they've introduced, but really nothing more on that. Remember, Amazon has been mum ever since those FDI norms came out last week. So I guess the suspense is still there on what their move will be next.
Chandra, I want to ask you something. Tell us, what's the next move going to be for Amazon India, considering the recent norms on FDI and e-commerce, or rather the clarifications that came out? What options does Amazon technically have?
The next move, Krishna, that people will watch out for, I mean, there's no question of, their commitment to India, because remember, they've lost China in a sense to Alibaba. So India is the next big market for them after the US. There's no way they cannot hope to win here. And they've already committed a lot of money here. So there's no question of them going back on that. I think what everybody is really looking at is the Cloudtail joint venture that they have with Catamaran, owned by Narayan Murthy's family. Now, the Cloudtail currently is the biggest seller on Amazon's platform here. Some reports say it contributes to over 30%, nearly 40% of sales. But as per the new norms, no seller can contribute to more than 25%. So the question is really what they will do with Cloudtail. We've been speaking to analysts. Amazon hasn't come back, but they have told the Economic Times that, they are committed to India and they've always worked within the norms. That's the broad statement they've given. But in terms of what they will do, we've spoken to analysts on the possible options that they have. One thing, of course, that they can do is really break this up into multiple entities based on categories. So you can have a different cloud tail catering to fashion, catering to electronics, because no single category would contribute more than 25%. That's one of the options they have. And others also asking if they, need that JV anymore. Will they buy it back from Catamaran and just set it up as an independent, as various independent entities? So I think that's something that we are awaiting clarity on, but a move that will be watched closely by peers in the next few weeks.
Oh, move that will certainly be watched very closely by peers in the industry, Chandra. But sticking with Amazon, you could soon be getting, guess what? Patanjali products on Amazon.com. The Baba Ramdev promoted Indian FMCG chain is looking at a partnership with the online marketplace giant to sell its products, an entire range of products, in fact. Speaking exclusively to ET now, Acharya Balakrishna, the managing director of Patanjali Ayurveda, said that the company is still in the talking stages with respect to their tie-up plans. Listen in.
अमेजॉन के साथ अभी हम लोगों ने डायरेक्टली कोई हमारी अभी फाइनल नहीं हुई डील, बातें चल रही हैं और अभी हमारे सिर्फ डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर लेवल पर कोई चीज़ चल रही है. बाकी जो है हम लोग अभी इसको फ्यूचर प्लानिंग में है. हम लोग चाहते हैं मॉडर्न ट्रेड में हम लोग ऑनलाइन जाएं और अच्छी तरह से काम करें, हमारा लक्ष्य है. सीएसडी में हम लोग हैं पहले से, हम लोग बड़ा ध्यान नहीं दे पा रहे थे उसको, अभी हम लोग अच्छी तरह से करने वाले हैं. बाकी मॉडर्न ट्रेड में हम लोग सब जगह पर हैं, बिग बाज़ार वगैरह के साथ साथ में रिलायंस वगैरह, बाकी भी जितने वो हैं सुपर मार्केट जो भी लोग हैं उनमें हम जुड़े हुए हैं. और हम लोग अभी ऑनलाइन के लिए भी प्लानिंग कर रहे हैं, योजनाबद्ध ढंग से हम बढ़ेंगे. जहाँ तक हमारा नेटवर्क है, हमारे पास अभी करीबन 1200 तो हमारे अपने पतंजलि चिकित्सालय हैं, जहाँ पर हमारे प्रोडक्ट के साथ साथ में वैद्यों की सेवा भी निःशुल्क उपलब्ध होती है और सभी चीज़ें वहाँ पर मिलती हैं. जो आरोग्य केंद्र करके जहाँ पर हमारे प्रोडक्ट मिलते हैं, ऐसे करीबन हमारे अभी 3-4 हज़ार संख्या में हैं. हमारे जो स्वदेशी केंद्र करके हैं, जो रूरल मार्केट के लिए हमारे जो गाँव में बहुत इंटीरियर के क्षेत्र में करीबन 8,000 के लगभग हमारे स्वदेशी केंद्र हैं. इसके अलावा भी हम लोग पतंजलि मेगा स्टोर के कॉन्सेप्ट पर भी जा रहे हैं. तो एक्सक्लूसिव स्टोर के लिए बड़े लेवल पर, बड़े शहरों पर अभी हमने शुरू किया है. लखनऊ में हमने शुरू कर दिया है. तो पहले जो बड़े बड़े शहर हैं या मेट्रो सिटीज़ हैं, हमारी प्लानिंग उन पर भी है. तो इस तरह से ये हमारा डायरेक्ट अपना नेटवर्क है और हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं.
From Patanjali then to the special segment on the show today, which we are calling Next Big Star. And the next big star we're looking at is a company that I'm sure a lot of our viewers would have used at some point to use in their homes. We're talking about Urban Ladder, the online furniture store. And we really have Ashish Goel, its co-founder and CEO, joining us on a day when Future Group bought out its erstwhile rival Fab Furnish. Ashish, thank you so much for coming on ED Now Startup Central. Before I move on to your rivals, I want to ask you about Urban Ladder's own game plan going forward in terms of how you will mine revenues from other categories. What will the logical extensions be for you? Will home decor and interior decor be a big bet for you going forward?
We started the business in 2012, mid-2012, and our vision is to make 1 million Indian homes beautiful. And in that context, the way we thought about it is the first step is to provide access to product. But really speaking, the logical next step, if you think about the consumer's journey, is to complete it with allowing them and helping them put it all together. So really speaking, the way we see it is just a continuum. We started off with providing products, and now we are just taking the logical next step. So that's definitely going to be a big area of focus for us. We expect that to become, the comprehensive home solutioning. I mean, interior designing is one part of it, but comprehensive home solutioning to become as much as 20-25% of our revenues in the next 12 months. And then we'll take it from there.
Ashish, this is Krishnakumar coming to you from 18 Hours Mumbai studios. I want to ask you, some players are moving towards a hybrid strategy. Won't an offline presence then help you gain a larger share of the market, larger traction? Will you also look at it at some point of time in the future?
So, this is a question we have been asked many times. What is interesting is maybe when we were very much smaller business, nobody knew us, nobody knew our product quality, etc., right? Maybe then we should have opened stores, and maybe we're just slow and didn't do it then. But I think the time has passed now. Honestly, in this category, the only thing that a store does is to build trust with the customer. Frankly, you can do nothing. You can achieve little by touching and feeling a bed, really, right? So fundamentally, if you are able to trust a brand, there is actually no barrier to entry for the customer to buy from an online retailer. So that's really our challenge, right? Our question is to continuously up the game on building trust with the customers. I mean, we are pretty clear about it. We don't believe that offline stores are really a tremendous strategy, if you will. Honestly, they are, to us, an offline store is more an escape than a strategy.
Right, Ashish, your co-founder Rajiv has been quoted saying that you all will cross the 250 million GMV number by June 2017. What is the maths here? Help us understand how you came up, arrived at that number, and also where you are currently.
So I think we are maybe about give or take 15 months away from getting there. We expect to keep growing roughly about between 10 and 15% a month for the next 12 to 15 months, and I think that should work out to that kind of number. Our sense is, in terms of the sheer number of customers, we should be touching about ballpark about a lakh customers, 75,000 to a lakh customers a month at that point of time. Which, interestingly enough, when you add it up, it literally means that every year we will be impacting and making beautiful the lives of 1 million customers in a year. So in some sense, that's definitely step one of our vision and our journey that we would have completed. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of hard work to be done, but seems possible.
All right, Ashish, I have to ask you this. The recent guidelines on FDI in marketplaces put the spotlight on players who have an inventory-based model. Tell us, how will this affect you as a player, and what about the rule curtailing discounts? Will that affect customer stickiness as well?
So, we actually are rather thrilled that the government has over the last few months, this is one of the clarifications, there's another clarification which came out 2.5 months back, has really clarified how you can run any kind of sort of digital commerce business. As far as the recent clarification on the marketplace side, we actually are quite thrilled with that, because we are, I would say, 120% compliant with the norms and the guidelines the government has put out. So that's great for us. Other sort of thing which we are also evaluating, a few months back the government talked about single brand retail. So I think that's also something we are understanding better and evaluating whether there is merit in us looking at that as a potential business model as well.
Ashish, I opened with Fab Furnish, so I want to ask you, the fact that they've been acquired by Future Group, does that in a sense signal the deeper fault lines that we are seeing in this space, and how is Urban Ladder really going to sustain in the current environment, considering there is an element of caution, funds in late stages have been coming down?
So I will not comment on what happens with competition. Fact is, one should be fairly cognizant. E-commerce is a structurally tough business to build. Anybody who says otherwise is honestly, either they are fooling others or fooling themselves. So I think the Fab Furnish team was a good team. They did a lot of good work. It's just a tough business to build, and I think somewhere having shareholders with different horizons makes life complicated. Different time horizons makes life complicated. So I don't think one should read too much into that. Structurally, e-commerce is a tough business to build. We from a capital management standpoint, we actually are in a fairly good capital position, which I think is super important in this kind of environment. We have I think we are well capitalized for the next at least year and a half, 15 to 18 months, and then I'm pretty sure our business is doing well. So I'm pretty sure that somewhere in the interim, when we need to raise capital, we will raise the right capital from the right people.
All right, Ashish, we'll let it all be. Before we let you go, I wanted to ask you something on the lighter side. Tell us about this curious little job posting that Urban Ladder had for a mattress tester. That's gone viral and sounds like a dream job. I would love to take it up. How many applications did you get?
I think in last round we received about 1100 applications, and we are still screening the resumes and sort of trying to figure out who can do a good job as mattress tester. But I mean, I guess everybody knows now it was an April Fool's joke, and I think played out quite nicely. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole point about doing a startup, right? You can be a little light-hearted, you can have a little bit of fun. So I mean, that's large part of the reason why we are here. So yeah, I think it was fun.
Ashish, these are tough times that we live in, and a job as a mattress tester, well, I don't know. I'm just about to mic off and just come and apply with Urban Ladder. But all said and done, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on ET Now Startup Central. Moving on. Chandra, we are kicking off a brand new segment on the show today, and it's called Aha Moment, a segment where entrepreneurs outline that one moment that changed their fortunes forever. We debut that this week with Mindtree's co-founder Krishnakumar Natarajan. Let's listen in to his aha moment.
See, on the personal front, there are many, but I'm going to share with you in the life of a startup. Because while I think I had an experience of being a senior exec in a company, doing a startup is very different because you don't get the value of the visibility which a large brand gives you. So you do struggle to get customers, and clearly that's a phase which many times a startup and the founders start questioning themselves as to saying that, are we doing the right things? Will we survive? So many times you get by luck or through efforts a key break which gets you into the next orbit. And in the case of Mindtree, it was really winning a large customer like Volvo. We were a small company, certainly didn't have the credentials to compare with the larger players and win a company like Volvo. But when we really won it, what was more satisfying was when we asked Volvo saying, why did you choose Mindtree? They said, we realize that today you're small, but we are really working with you as partners because we think you have a great potential to be a great partner to Volvo. So that really was the first big customer win which Mindtree had, and really took us on to the next orbit. So if I were to trace back in the 17 years of Mindtree, that is clearly an aha moment.
Over to our final segment then, Number Crunch. And the number we are crunching for you today is $275 million. Now, that's not the revenue figure or the profit figure, but it's just the amount that Tesla has managed to earn in days after they announced the Tesla Model 3's launch. Now, remember, the cars, are nowhere close to being on the road, but they've got 275,000 pre-bookings. And for each pre-booking, you need to pay a deposit of $1,000. So Tesla and Elon Musk, just by virtue of that announcement, have made $275 million. Krishna, I don't know if you're a Tesla fanboy, but I mean, that sort of charisma has only been matched by perhaps Steve Jobs and Apple and iPhone. It's amazing the kind of response that Tesla's got, hasn't it?
Absolutely, Chandra. I was just going to say that what Apple is to phones, Tesla has become to cars with this particular set of massive pre-bookings. Can't wait to see what the end product is going to look like. But on that note, we need to wrap things up here on this edition of ET Now Startup Central. But don't go anywhere. Keep watching ET Now. Coming up next is Market Watch.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.